I found a painless lump on my neck, so I pressed it, and a third eye blinked open. I swore it was just my imagination, until it started whispering to me. I see what you don't want to. At night, it stared into the darkness, watching something move in my room. It's getting closer, it murmured. But don't worry, I'll show you how to join it. I know how it sounds. I wouldn't believe it either if I hadn't lived through every second of it. But this is real. This happened. And I think it's still happening. I live in Colorado Springs. Been here most of my life. I work as a mechanic. Long hours, grease under my nails, tired hands. I don't complain. Work keeps me grounded. I used to be married. Her name was Maggie. She left last spring, said I was too distant, like I was living in my own little world. I guess she was right. I didn't know how to fix us, and she didn't want to wait around. I'd been alone ever since. Quiet house. Quiet life. Then, around October, I noticed this lump on the side of my neck. It was small, just under my ear. It didn't hurt, didn't itch, didn't do anything really. Just sat there. I figured maybe I was getting sick or something. Didn't think too much of it. Until the night I pressed it. I was sitting on the couch, half watching some dumb reality show, drinking a beer. My hand went up, like it always did, rubbing my neck without thinking. And then, I felt it move. Not like a twitch. Not like a muscle jumping. It moved in a way skin shouldn't move. It blinked. It felt like a soft blink, under the surface of my skin. My whole body locked up. I pulled my hand away like I touched something burning. I stared at the TV for a full minute, not even breathing. Then I slowly got up and went to the bathroom. Nothing. I looked fine. Just me in the mirror. My face, my neck, a little red maybe from where I pressed. I stood there for 15 minutes, watching. Nothing happened. I told myself I imagined it. Maybe it was just a muscle spasm. I let it go. But the next night, something else happened. I was in bed, trying to fall asleep, and I heard whispering. Clear as day. Right next to me, like someone was crouched by the bed. I see what you don't want to. I sat straight up. Turned on the lamp. Nobody there. I didn't sleep that night. The whisper came again the night after that. Then again. And again. Always the same words. I see what you don't want to. I tried ignoring it. Tried pretending I didn't hear. But it didn't stop. And then I noticed something even worse. The eye would open. I'm not talking metaphorically. I mean it literally opened. On my neck. Right under my ear. A small, wet, black eye. No whites. Just this black iris that jerked around fast, like it was scanning the room. The first time I saw it in the mirror, I puked. No warning. I just bent over the sink and threw up. I started wearing hoodies. Scarves. Even at work. Charlie, the guy I work with, noticed. He asked if I was sick. I told him it was allergies. He didn't buy it, but he let it go. Then one day, I was under a truck, changing a gasket. Charlie leaned over to hand me a tool and froze. You alright, man? He said. What? I asked, not even looking. He pointed at my neck. I think your skin just twitched or something. I got up fast. Cleaned up. Left early that day. At night, the eye wouldn't stop looking. Always at the corners of my bedroom. The hallway. The closet door. The space under the bed. Sometimes it looked scared. I know that sounds crazy, but it trembled. It would open wide and dart around like it was trying to warn me. Then one night, it said something new. It's getting closer. That was the night I saw it for the first time. A shape. In the corner of the room. No light. No detail. Just a shape where nothing should be. When I turned the lamp on, it was gone. I didn't sleep. I just sat up watching the closet door. The next night, the eye opened before I even laid down. It looked at the window. I didn't want to look. But I did. And I swear to you, there was a face outside. Pale, blurry, just barely visible behind the glass. No features. Just a shape. Watching. Then the voice whispered again, "Don't worry. I'll show you how to join it." I left the house that night. Drove around until the sun came up. I didn't want to go home. Didn't want to sleep. I was shaking, sweating, barely keeping the truck on the road. I tried seeing a doctor. Told him I had a lump and wanted it checked. He poked at it. Said it was probably a swollen gland. Offered antibiotics. I didn't take them. What was I supposed to say? "Hey doc, the lump has an eye and talks to me?" That's when the revenge part started to creep in. I was at work, exhausted. Greasy hands. No sleep. I was snapping at people. Making mistakes. I spilled transmission fluid all over the bay. Charlie laughed. Not mean, just a quick chuckle. Said something like, "Damn, you falling apart over there?" And I don't know what came over me. I saw the eye open. I felt something cold move through me. I punched him. Right in the mouth. Hard. Broke 2 of his teeth. He went down bleeding. They fired me, of course. I didn't fight it. Just walked out. But the eye was pleased. That's the only word I can use. I could feel it. Like a tiny pulse of joy. That night, I asked it a question for the first time. "What are you?" It didn't answer. But it didn't close either. It just stared. I started trying to ignore the car. I told myself it couldn't stay there forever. Maybe it was some weirdo, maybe it wasn't even about me. But I knew better. After the 4th night, I started writing down everything. Times the car showed up, when it left, what it looked like. Same car every time, black, old, probably a Lincoln. No plates, ever. No movement. No engine running that I could hear. Just, there. On the 6th night, I decided to walk out to it. I had a flashlight and a crowbar. I didn't plan on using them unless I had to, but I needed to see. I needed to know if someone was actually sitting inside. My heart was beating so loud I could feel it in my ears. I got about 20 feet from it when I saw movement, barely. Just a slight shift in the driver's seat. The window didn't roll down. No door opened. But whoever was inside was definitely alive. And watching. I stopped. Raised my flashlight. That's when the engine turned on. No sound before that. Just silence, and then suddenly it was running. The headlights stayed off. It didn't peel out. Just slowly backed up, turned down the street, and disappeared. The next day, I went to the police. I brought the note. Told them about the car. Told them about the funeral. The cop I talked to, Deputy Carter, looked at me like I was half crazy. "You're saying someone's stalking you because your dad died in a car crash," he said. "I'm saying I don't think it was a crash," I replied. "And I think someone wants me to shut up about it." He took the note, but I could tell he didn't take it seriously. Said they'd keep a patrol car near the area for the next few nights. That was a joke. That night, there were no cops. Just the same black car. Back in the same spot. I didn't go out this time. Just stared at it from my window until I passed out on the couch. Things got worse the next morning. When I went to start my truck, I found all 4 tires slashed. Clean cuts. Not vandal kids, this was pro. No graffiti, no broken windows. Just quiet damage. Then the real twist hit. I went through my dad's garage, looking for anything, boxes, files, notes. Something that would tell me what the hell was going on. I found a locked cabinet I'd never seen before. Hidden behind a false wall panel. Inside were folders. Lots of them. Most of it was jargon I didn't understand, government tags, coded messages, pictures of aircraft that didn't look normal. One folder stood out. It had my dad's name and a bunch of dates going back to the early 90s. It also had another name, Project Morningfall. I didn't know what it meant. But I knew this, my dad wasn't just fixing planes. And whatever Morningfall was, someone didn't want it out. The last page in that file had a handwritten note, dated 3 weeks before his death. It said, "If anything happens to me, it wasn't an accident. Rick, check the cabin. Burn this." I didn't know about any cabin. But now I had a reason to find it. I didn't know where to start. The cabin could have been anywhere. We didn't own any property outside town, at least none I knew about. But my dad wasn't the kind of guy to leave loose ends. If he left me that note, he left me a way to find the place. So I went through his safe. He kept it in the back of his closet, behind a row of shirts. I knew the combo, his Navy enlistment date. Inside were a few thousand in cash, an old pistol, some silver coins, and a small leather-bound notebook. Looked like a journal, but when I opened it, it was mostly just numbers and strange entries. One entry stood out. May 17th, cabin stocked. Water lines frozen again. Satellite down. Entry code still 4697. Bingo. In the back of the journal, scribbled on a folded map, I found coordinates. Looked like somewhere near Broken Bow Lake, about 4 hours southeast. Deep in the Washita forest. No roads marked. Just a rough trail. I left at dawn. Took my truck after replacing the tires, loaded it with tools, a shovel, and my dad's old pistol. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. Figured I couldn't trust anybody yet. The drive was quiet. Too quiet. I kept checking my rear view, half expecting that black car to show up again. It didn't. But at one gas station about halfway, I noticed a guy watching me from across the lot. Bald, dark glasses, no gas pump in hand. Just standing by a car, not filling up, not moving. When I pulled out, he pulled out too, but headed the opposite direction. Could have been nothing. Didn't feel like nothing. I reached the trail around 3:30 p.m. It was more of a deer path than a road, but my truck could handle it. Took about 45 minutes to crawl my way up the hill before I saw it, a small wooden structure, almost hidden in the trees. Looked abandoned, but the door was intact. One window was boarded up. The other was broken but covered with tarp from the inside. I walked up, tried the door. Locked. Then I remembered the number, 4697. There was an old keypad beside the door, rusty but still lit. I typed it in. Click. I stepped inside. Everything was covered in dust, but it was stocked. Shelves full of canned food. Jugs of water. A propane stove. Piles of notebooks, binders, and 2 large crates marked, Private, F. Warner. My dad's name. I opened the first crate. Inside were rows of tapes. Old VHS and microfilm. Labeled by year, 1991 to 2019. Some were tagged, Test Flight, others, Containment Breach, and one was labeled simply, Survivors. I opened a binder next. What I saw stopped my breath. Photos. Grainy, black and white, but real. Some of them showed wreckage, crashed aircraft that didn't look like anything I'd ever seen. Others were close-ups of bodies. Or something like bodies. Long limbs. Burn marks. Facial features twisted and unnatural. The last page of the binder had one photo paper-clipped to a typed sheet. The photo showed my dad, standing next to 3 men in suits. The paper said, "Project Morningfall terminated, all assets to be neutralized. Remaining witnesses under observation." My dad was circled in red ink. Next to it, in my father's handwriting, "They're cleaning house." I stepped back. Then I heard something outside. Twigs snapping. Slow, steady footsteps. Not an animal. Too heavy. Someone had followed me. I froze where I stood, barely breathing. My fingers were still wrapped around the edge of that binder, heart hammering in my chest. The steps outside moved slow, deliberate. Whoever was out there wasn't in a rush. They knew I was inside. They wanted me to know they were there. I closed the binder, slid it into my bag, then grabbed one of the tapes, Survivors, and stuffed it in with it. I tucked the pistol into my waistband, flicked the lights off, and crouched low behind the door. Then came the knock. Just one. Solid. Like it was planned. I stayed quiet. The door handle turned once, then stopped. Whoever it was stepped back. I heard a faint voice through the wood. Calm. Male. "You shouldn't have come here, Rick." I didn't answer. "We gave your father plenty of chances. But he couldn't let go. He had to keep digging. He had to leave crumbs. Now you've got one shot, walk away. Leave everything. Pretend you never saw it. Or you disappear too." I stood and aimed my pistol at the door. My voice shook, but I said it anyway. "You think I came all the way out here just to leave empty-handed?" Silence. Then laughter. Cold, bitter. "You sound just like him." I waited, finger on the trigger. 10 seconds passed. 20. No more footsteps. Nothing. I peeked through a crack in the tarp. Gone. I opened the door slowly. Nobody there. But in the dirt, clear as day, boot prints. Headed back into the trees. I followed, gun drawn, but after about 50 feet, they just stopped. No car sounds. No broken branches. Like he vanished. I didn't stay the night. I loaded everything I could into the truck, binders, tapes, documents. Whatever Morningfall was, it wasn't just some project. It was bigger. They killed people to cover it up. They were still doing it. Back home, I made copies. Sent them to 3 people I trusted. One was my cousin in Nebraska, another was an old friend who worked at a small newspaper in Missouri. Third copy I hid in a storage unit under a fake name. The black car didn't come back. Instead, it got worse. My cousin was in a car accident 3 days later. Broken leg, said the brakes failed. My friend in Missouri called to say someone broke into his place, didn't steal anything, just trashed the office. Then he stopped answering my calls. I went quiet. Didn't go to work. Didn't leave the house unless I had to. I waited. Then they came. 2 men. Middle-aged, suits. Knocked on my door like they were selling insurance. I didn't open. I stayed upstairs with my gun and watched from the window. They stood there for 10 minutes. Then one of them looked straight up, right at me. Smiled. Next day, I was arrested. Interfering with a federal investigation, they said. They found a small amount of classified material in my truck. No charges were filed, but they held me for 2 days in a cold, windowless room. No phone call. No questions. Just waiting. When they let me out, my house had been broken into. Everything, gone. Binders. Tapes. My dad's files. All of it. The only thing they didn't find was the copy in the storage unit. I didn't go back to my life after that. I went to Washington. I leaked it. The tapes, the photos, the names. Sent them to journalists, dropped them on message boards, gave them to veterans groups. A few got taken down fast, but some of it stuck. A few small sites ran with the story. A podcast picked it up. Whispers started spreading. And then, radio silence. 2 of the websites that covered it went dark. A third posted a retraction. 1 reporter died in a fire. The podcast host disappeared from social media overnight. I should have stopped. But I didn't. Because I found one more thing, an old email account my dad used. In it, he left a draft. Never sent. It said, "They'll come for Rick. But if he's anything like me, he won't let it go. And if he's reading this, I need him to finish it. Make them pay." So I did. I found one of the men from the photo, retired now, living in Nevada. He was part of the cleanup team for Morningfall. I confronted him. He laughed, told me I didn't know half of it. Then he slipped. Told me who gave the order on my dad. A name. So I went to that man's home. He was dying of cancer. I told him everything I knew. Showed him the photos, the files. Watched him squirm. Then I gave him a choice, confess, or I send his name and face to every journalist who still listens. He chose to confess. And 3 weeks later, he was found dead. Suicide, they said. But I know better. That was the beginning of the end. People started talking. Quietly. Carefully. But talking. They couldn't stop the story anymore. Not completely. I lost my job. My house was sold without notice. I had to vanish, new name, new state. I live off the grid now. Don't use banks. Don't trust phones. But I'm still here. And they know I am. So if you're reading this, and someone whispers at your funeral, listen. And whatever you do, never ignore the black car. Because it never really leaves. It just waits.